Hi, Greg Stewart with Maizex Seeds. Here in this edition of Maizex Moving, we're in Lambton County at Moorma Farms. Julie Ma is our Maizex dealer here in this part of the world. And so we've got a whole series of plots and things that we've been looking at over the course of the 2020 season. We're circling back to a topic that I find interesting, and that is the value of early nitrogen. We have lots of experience and lots of emphasis over the last 10 or 15 years of moving nitrogen applications later into side dress or even July applications, high clearance applications of nitrogen. And for sure, Ontario data, Corn Belt data shows that there are some efficiencies, especially in average years or wet years, of moving that nitrogen into a later window, June, early July. But it is intriguing to see that in some of the research, there are some real advantages to the nitrogen that goes down early. And by early, I mean planting time nitrogen. In a dry year, for example, if you have drought that comes in June, often those plots that got the majority of their nitrogen down up front do better than plots that are side dressed into those droughty conditions. Here at this site this year, we've got about 50 pounds of N down up front broadcast. I planted this plot with Alpine G24, so that only gives me another 3 pounds of N in the furrow. But to contrast some of the early nitrogen advantages, we banded UAN over top of the row after planting. And we added about 45 pounds of total N right over top of the row. We also laid that same amount of nitrogen just between the row. You can see in the picture from June that we had some real nice early growth and greenness advantages in those plots that received the nitrogen up front, concentrated over the row. And then we're here today, we're going to pull the yields and have a look at where we're at yield-wise. On my right-hand side is some ears from the plot that did not get the extra over-the-row nitrogen, versus on my left side, some ears from a section of row which did get the extra nitrogen. So you can see in the slide the yield advantages that we achieved this year by getting some extra N into the row. So as we move forward towards 2021 planting, I think it's a reasonable thing to ask yourself, are you in a situation where you are getting enough nitrogen into your row zone? Sort of supercharging the nitrate concentration in that row zone to make sure that plant uniformity and early growth is optimized. Now, if you're on a silt loam soil and you broadcast all your nitrogen up front, I doubt that changing your operation is going to improve your yields much. But in situations where perhaps you don't have currently much N on the planter, and if you're on heavier soils or after corn or after wheat, or especially after wheat where maybe you left the straw, you get into that situation where nitrogen is more of a requirement to supply the demands of the early corn plant, but also to break down the corn stalks or wheat stover that's in the field. So, something to consider as you move forward. What could you do to improve your nitrogen concentration in the row zone? Maybe it's UAN that you could dribble down at the back of the planter. Maybe it's upping the amount of nitrogen you put down if you have a dry fertilizer system and are already running a band. Maybe if you're a strip tiller, you can just make sure that in that strip zone you get up into that 60, 70 pounds of N. I think there are some real advantages to making sure that we do not short the crop early from a nitrogen perspective, and a bunch of different ways that you can chase that. Something to look forward to as you make plans for 2021 planting. Till next time, thanks for watching.